Freeview. Welcome to this, another faction focus with me, the Bone, and you, the Chef.
Yes.
And today we will be covering the Deathwatch supplement. Thank you, Games Workshop, for sending this us early so that we can do a preview for you. We did get them a little later than we usually would. So unfortunately what this means, guys, is we will not have a game to release for either this one or CODEX supplement Space Wolves. But we have done a faction focus, good, bad and ugly for both of them. So you can find the Space Wolves one. It should be around either somewhere on your list. It might be up here, might be down there, it might be here, could potentially be there. Yeah, difficult to know.
It's
but
there.
It is. So you'll have both of these, and don't worry, we are working on getting a game to you as soon as possible. But it's Friday, and we didn't feel like working till 4 in the morning.
No.
So sorry,
but not sorry.
But not sorry.
We have lives.
Yes. Well, some of us. I don't. I don't. I do. I do.
Yeah, you do.
I do. It's also Halloween when you're watching this.
Yeah.
That's fun. Look out for ghosts. Shall we start with
They're alien hunters, not ghost hunters.
the Ghostbusters?
No.
No.
We're on YouTube.
YouTube.
The DCMA is going to come along. It's going to be a real problem.
I think if you're singing it, it's all right. The tune?
I don't know. The algorithm's not. It doesn't exactly discern very well.
Well, if the algorithm can pick up from my nasal tones, it deserves it.
I was going to say dulcet, and you just went straight into nasal.
Yeah, well, we all know. It's my Australian, isn't it?
Australia.
Anyway,
Deathwatch.
So, Deathwatch. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We will start with the good because it is a very good place to start. Chef, why don't you kick us off?
They're Marines.
Yes.
Okay, but seriously. I mean, obviously, they're a supplement now rather than a standalone codex. This has both its inherent benefits and negatives, depending on what side of the fence you want to stand on. I think for the vast majority of things, it's a very good thing because, one, you're future-proofed for when new books come out. There's no waiting around for Psychic Awakenings or supplement updates or random FAQ updates. You just kind of have the Marine book, it's updated, and then it's yours again. Yeah. Although with any luck, fingers crossed, we're not getting that updated anytime soon.
Yay!
The next good thing about it is now because you're a supplement, you have access to so many more units. I've not done the numbers, but essentially there's about 5 units you can't take. That's about it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so now rather than having like 25 Marine units, you have all of them. Again, barring a couple, which you weren't taking anyway because you have the equivalent units in here, which are better.
Yes.
So yeah, you're in a much healthier position in terms of army viability and in terms of unit options, which is only a good thing.
Yeah.
It's only a good thing.
You can now plug gaps which were missing.
A major issue. Anti-tank
was a big one. And sure, you had like special issue ammunition, which could help with this to an extent, but it was still a problem. You really only had a few options as far as anti-tank. Those days are gone. Yeah. You can get anti-tank for days now, which is really, really good. It's really, really good. So well done. Well done, Deathwatch. The next one is the mission tactics. It's really good.
Yep.
It's really, really good. The fact that you can choose what doctrine you're going to be in your command phase, I believe.
So it's still at the beginning of a battle round.
It's still the beginning of a battle round.
Rather than you going Devastator, Tactical, and then Tactical Assault, and then Assault, you go, you know what? I've got all my anti-tank, but you've hidden them. Well played to you, sir. It's a good thing I'm in Tactical Doctrine.
Yeah.
What? Yes, hide until turn 2, because turn 2, I will be in Devastator.
Exactly.
So you've got so much flexibility. Now, I think a lot of people are maybe a bit like, not having a super doctrine's bad. No, this is your super doctrine.
Yeah, and it is super.
Yeah, the flexibility alone is worth its weight in gold. Now, one thing that I will say, you must be a Deathwatch army.
Yes.
You cannot have, because they, there may have been some concern that, you just have a Deathwatch patrol and then my Ultramarines can be in tactical doctrine from turn 1. You can't do that.
No.
It must be a Deathwatch army.
Yes.
So don't start saying that you've got Blue Watch or, Death Scars or stuff like that.
Because you don't have them.
You don't have that.
No, you don't.
I mean, you can, and you won't lose your doctrines, but you won't get the mission doctrines, and you won't get your super doctrines. So think very carefully. But yeah, mission tactics is great. It's the flexibility alone, and that kind of speaks to the army as a whole, which is incredible flexibility.
Yeah.
Is really, really good. And that sort of goes into parts of the next good stuff.
Yeah.
So your mission tactics covers that as an army, and then when you specialize stuff, you've got your psychic. Your psychic discipline is incredibly good. Loads of good utility stuff in there, some offensive powers. One of my favorite powers is you see that enemy unit? You can only charge me if you're within 6.
Yeah.
No cheeky long charges for you.
That's
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's something like that, or they can only charge the closest unless there's another unit within 6. It's something like that.
But still.
There's a lot of dictating stuff, and it's such a flexible tree that every power is useful, depending on what you come up against. Obviously, you have to decide beforehand. But this is actually one of the few trees where I would almost be inclined to go, you know what, I'm going to randomly decide my powers every game.
Wow.
Because they're all useful. Now, for the most part, you are just, if you're at like a friendly game, you're probably going to just pick your powers anyway.
Yeah.
Someone goes, oh, do you want to play again? Yeah, no, absolutely. What are you bringing? I'm bringing my orc, my 120 orc boys. You go, I will take the power of, I roll a dice for every model within 9 inches and they take a mortal wound on a 6.
I'm going to take that power.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, as a general all-comers, there's no real bad powers.
No.
It's a super, super solid discipline. And that extends into your warlord traits as well. There's a number of really good warlord traits. Relics as well. There's a bunch of really good relics in there. There's a couple in particular that I think are quite tasty. What is it?
Tell me, Chef. Tell me which one you're talking about.
I think it's like the Shield Indomitus or something. And it's like, it replaces a Storm Shield. Cool. You carry on getting your +1 armor save. Cool. You've got your 4 up because you're probably a captain. But now everyone within 6 inches gets a 5 up invuln. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, sure, you could obviously run Storm Shields on your veterans, which you still absolutely can do. But now you've got the option to not do that. Sure, it's a lesser save, but it's just really cool. It's a really, really nice, fun relic.
Yeah.
And they've got a bunch of relics like that, which are they're just interesting.
Yes.
There's one or two relics which you look at and you go, okay, I mean, it's all right. But for the most part, you look at them and you go, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good. I've got lots of options here. It's a very flexible choice.
Yes.
list.
And then you've still got the El Clasicos in there, like Tome of the Ectoclades.
Which is very different now, however.
Yes. Well, it says once per battle in your command phase, you can use the Tome of the Ectoclades. If you do, select one data sheet used by a unit from your opponent's army. To the start of your next command phase, the bearer has the ability Tome of the Ectoclades aura. So while a friendly Deathwatch core unit is within 6 of the bearer, each time in that unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack against a unit belonging to the selected data sheet, you can reroll the wound drop. Oh, that's pretty good.
It's good. It's good. So, and this is where it's a bit of a slight difference to the flexibility. We'll come back to it in the sort of the uglier section. A lot of the stuff around your mission tactics is a bit more rigid now, so we'll come back to that in a later section. Yeah. But it's still a very powerful ability once per game to just go, you see that unit of what have you got on that objective that I must remove? Oh, it's a unit of Lich Guard. Great, this 6-inch aura of reroll wounds to hit against Lich Guard this turn.
Which is cheeky.
Reroll wounds. It's really good.
It's really good.
It's just not, and it's still maybe not an auto take, but it's certainly like a very strong choice.
Yeah. Your relic was called the Dominus of the Aegis, by the way.
Ah, that's the one.
Or Dominus Aegis, forgive me.
it's really cool either way.
Yeah,
He just plants his shield, boom, force field goes up.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it.
So yeah, there's some good flexible choices in there. None more so than your veteran squads.
No.
They were always good. They're still really good.
Yes.
And the kill teams themselves, a little bit on the convoluted stroke weird side, but it if you were a Deathwatch, you were used to that anyway.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's actually fairly self-explanatory. The ability to upgrade some of them with the real specialisms is really cool.
Yeah.
Able to really tailor your army to go in for that super duper elite specialized force is really cool and fluffy, in my opinion.
Yeah. The secondaries are they're pretty good. I mean, you've got, in No Mercy, No Respect, you've got Suffer Not the Alien. So, score 1 victory point at the end of the battle round for each enemy Tyranid, Eldari, Orc, Necron, Tau Empire unit destroyed by Deathwatch unit during your army.
Yeah, my only problem with that is that drones. Basically, that's an auto take against Tau.
Yep.
Because you just go, your drones count as a separate unit. Great, that's a victory point.
Yep. Good if you're a Deathwatch player, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Against some armies, you're probably looking at maybe 8 to 9 points, and then you're almost at that tabling stage. So it's not an auto take one, but it's such a good option to have against those armies.
Yeah.
If you come up against an army that goes, I've gone for MSU Eldar with loads of specialist units, you go, suffer not.
Yeah.
So
Suffer not the alien.
There's some real good stuff there.
Yeah, I quite like the Long Vigil as well. Depending on the certain armies you come up against, this could also be a really strong choice. So you score 5 victory points at the start of your command phase if there are no enemy units, excluding aircraft, within 6 inches of your deployment zone, and there is at least 1 Deathwatch unit from your army whole within your deployment zone. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So pretty good. It can't get in your first turn.
Sure. Because that would be
silly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's actually not that difficult to do.
Against some armies.
It's really not that difficult to do.
Especially armies that are either slow and are about the mid-board, like your Death Guard.
Yeah.
Or armies that just want to sort of camp on objectives or kind of wait for turns 3 and 4 to go out. You're dictating your opponent's playstyle. Against some armies, it's not going to be useful, in which case you wouldn't take it. You don't go up against the Slanesh Demons army and go, I'll take Long Vigil.
Yeah,
the Slanesh army will be like,
are you sure?
You sure you want to do that?
Is that
okay?
Is that really what you want to do?
But against other armies, if you come up against your Necron Silver Tide, you'll probably take that because that's almost a guaranteed 5, if not 10 points. Because you've got to remember as well, by the time you've pushed out to them to kind of blockade them, it's going to work in your favor, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's there's some real nice options for them for sure.
Yeah, as far as that. Good. I mean, it's a very small supplement, this one.
Yeah. There is only 9 data sheets.
There is only 9 data sheets. So
there's not a huge amount to talk about without just going through each individual thing, which is not what these are about.
Not what these are about. But that is kind of like the things that stand out as good. You like you say, your kill team flexibilities and veterans are still really good. The fact that you can get so many more models in this army now
from this book
is good. We're not going to cross-pollinate here because we've done this. So much like using both, you can watch both and make some decisions.
Most of the stuff that applies to Space Marines applies to Deathwatch because at the end of the day, Deathwatch are just Space Marines.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's anything that would be in the Space Marine Codex that makes me go, I'd never run this in Deathwatch.
No.
It's not. There's just not really much. I mean, you could argue lieutenants maybe because you've got your pick a battlefield role, but the redundancy of him is still really good. But that does mean that he's maybe a lesser choice, which means you can do more perhaps interesting things like I'll take a librarian, a chaplain, and a watchmaster, for example. You can do more flexible, varied armies, which is great.
It's just what you want.
So yeah, I don't think there's much more in the good to talk about, and that's not because there isn't that much good. It's just a small supplement, guys.
Yeah. Stratagems are really
some of the
good.
stratagems are actually very good.
Yeah, you've still got a lot of the similar ones as well, like targeting scramblers against Tau.
Yep.
You've still got Synaptic Severance, I think, is different now.
Yeah, that's different now.
So use this stratagem in the shooting phase or fight phase. When a Deathwatch unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight until the end of the phase, each time a model in their unit makes an attack roll against a Tyranid Synapse unit, and on a modified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I like that. Adaptive tactics. So if Watchmaster unit from your army is on the battlefield in the command phase, change the battlefield role selected for the purposes of the Xenos Hunters chapter tactic for your army. You can only use the stratagem once, so you're still getting all that sort of being able, as we said, the flexibility, being able to be quite malleable to whatever sort of opponent you come up against. Yeah,
like
good.
Because they've got a bunch of stratagems from the core book that are your generic stratagems. They didn't need to be reprinted in here.
No.
Sure, there's some stratagems which you no longer have, like attacking twice or things like that, but no one has that anymore in the generic stuff. So it's not like you're, the red-headed stepchild and, no one likes you and you're just told to go and sort of sit over there.
Savage.
You've not got that phrase?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a new one for me.
Oh, there you go.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I don't have anything to add to that. Just one thing I'll add, a new stratagem which I quite liked, because I liked the look of the Corvus Black Star. I've always liked it.
It's very sleek.
And you've now got a stratagem, it is 2 CP, mind, but use this stratagem at the start of the first battle round. Select one Corvus Black Star unit from your army until the end of the battle round. That unit cannot be selected as a target for ranged attacks unless it is the closest eligible target to the firing model.
You have the only guaranteed, almost guaranteed safe flyer in the game.
Yeah.
Which is actually really quite good.
It's really good. You know, especially if you have a unit in there that is going to be key to a certain plan or whatever. You just go, well, I'm
probably going to do this plan.
Yeah, the plan is going to work. It's going to be fine. So lots of good in here. Lots of good in here. I think the real winner is the mission tactics. That is just so powerful when used correctly. To get that sort of advantage pretty much whenever you unit. Now, granted, you can still only go into Devastator Doctrine once. Yeah. But if you know that turn that you can really put that hurt on, you take it. And then you hurt people a lot. Yeah. So, very good stuff. Shall we move on to the bad?
Yes, there is a little bit.
There's a little bit of bad. We'll talk about the bad. Okay, so we're going to talk about the bad. Now, I'm going to premise this, which there's a lot of stuff in the bad section which we have deemed bad specifically for the army itself. However, I would say that a lot of these things were probably necessary
given some of the changes,
and just for the balance in the game in general. However, we can appreciate that for Deathwatch players, you'd be a bit like, my toys, and I get it, I understand, but also there was some stuff here. So I just want to premise that with...
Preface?
Yes. What did I say?
Premise.
Oh yeah, that's not correct.
The premise is that this is bad if you are a Deathwatch player. So we're going to preface this.
Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, this is definitely more a personal bad rather than a bad objectively, where you can kind of look at a bunch of other codexes objectively, like we've done stuff for, like when you look at things like Tau, objectively, there's a bunch of bad units in there.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily there's bad units. Again, what we've mentioned in the Space Marines Codex review, faction focus applies here. Deathwatch doesn't really change it.
No.
Really. But at the same time, I also get from a game balance decision and sort of reasoning as to why these changes were made.
Yeah, exactly.
And what it boils down to is special issue ammunition.
Yes.
And the reason why it is no longer applicable to everything in the army, and that is because you're a supplement now.
Yeah.
There would have been no point in making you a supplement if they were going to let you have special ammunition for free on all your Primaris stuff, or all of your non-bolt gun stuff. Now, that is not to say that there's a few things which should have had it, but there's a couple of things it would be if they really wanted to do it like, oh no, everything in the army is going to have special issue ammunition. But that would need to be accounted for in points, guys.
Yeah.
So that would mean that your intercessor is not going to be 20 points because you just look at the Space Marine book. They would need to have a page in here for Deathwatch Primaris Intercessor, which is now making it not a supplement anymore. It's just a reprint of a Marine Codex with Deathwatch attached to the front of every single datasheet.
Yes.
There's no point.
No.
There would be no point to it. And it defeats the entire essence of it being a supplement. So that's what it boils down to. I think the changes to special issue ammunition themselves are actually very good.
Yeah.
Your Dragonfire now has uses against dense cover. Or rather, before it was essentially against dense cover because it gave you +1 to hit on units that were in cover. Now it just ignores cover completely. So it ignores dense and light cover.
Which is very good.
Your Hellfire rounds are now much more balanced. I know that it will upset a lot of people that they aren't wounding on 2s anymore. However, it was really quite frustrating when you had something that was being wounded on 2s by an infantry weapon.
Yeah.
+1 to wound is still incredibly strong.
It's so good.
It means you're wounding most monsters on 4s, which is still really good, whilst also making those monsters feel tougher than they were. But you still are pumping out so much firepower at them that it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
You're still wounding most toughness 3 infantry on 2s. You're still wounding most toughness 4 infantry on 3s. It's still really good, but it's just not the auto-use one anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a good change. Vengeance rounds being +1 damage, fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
It's really good because that kind of gives you a semi-anti-tank shell as well.
Yeah.
As well as being really good for anti-marines. And your Kraken Bolt is still an extra AP and an extra 6-inch range. So the special issue ammunition itself is really good, in my opinion. But it only being available on about 3 weapons is less good. And those weapons are essentially your Deathwatch Bolt Gun, your Vigil Spear, which has its own problems. I think your special characters have it on their bolt pistols. Okay. And you've got it on your special character unit, your Kill Team Cassius. 4. Now, could they have given it to Stormbolters? Yes. Would the Stormbolters still have been only, 3 points a model? No, they would not have been.
Yeah.
What I find a little bit frustrating is that they should have had it on characters.
Yep.
It should have just been any character, keyword model in a Deathwatch detachment has the special issue ammunition ability on all of its bolt weapons, because it makes no sense that a 150-year-old veteran of the Deathwatch forgot his special issue ammunition in his bolt gun because he's a captain, not a watchmaster.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
Yeah, it's not like he suddenly stands up and goes,
I'm broken.
I'm
now.
very busy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go out to battle now.
Yeah.
And then he looks, I've done it again.
I forgot my Dragonfire rounds again.
Every time. He goes, I'm just so busy getting everyone ready for war.
That isn't gonna break the game by giving that to them as a free upgrade, quite frankly. It's weird that they have Deathwatch Veteran Bikers and Deathwatch Terminators in here without the Deathwatch ammunition. All they needed to have was a Deathwatch Stormbolter for your Terminators, and you cost them appropriately. Yeah. Because they're basically the same cost as a normal Terminator, and that's it. But if they'd have just said, make them 43 points instead of 38, but they've got special issue ammunition on their Stormbolter, okay. Yeah, cool. Same with your bikes. And what's especially frustrating with the bikes is because the bike model in the Kill Team Cassius does have special issue ammunition on his twin bolt guns. And it's just little things like that where you just go, did they just forget how to load it into the bolt guns that are attached to the bikes? Now, I understand in a way why not giving it to everything. Because can you imagine if they just had a rule? It's like, everyone in the detachment gets it on all their bolt weapons. Okay, well, aggressors are now grim.
Yeah.
Cool. All of my heavy bolters on my vehicles are now grim.
Yep.
Hurricane bolters. So it kind of goes back to, and it's a weird one because it's one of those things where if you'd have said that 6 months ago, I would have said yes, they should have special issue ammunition on all their vehicles because they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, you know what? You've got so many options that it's not necessary for you to have it on everything.
No.
And I understand not having it on your Primaris is a bit frustrating, especially if you were running a Primaris Deathwatch army, and that we have other issues with the Primaris stuff in Deathwatch. On your bolt rifles, it was just so good.
Yeah.
It was having
it was bananas.
Well, it wasn't even on your bolt rifles. It was on your auto bolt rifles.
Yeah.
And that would be another thing. It's like, or if they'd have had like a war gear upgrade for them, and they said, yeah, look, if you want to have special issue ammunition on an intercessor, and an intercessor only, you can upgrade their bolt rifle to special issue ammunition for 2 points a model or something. Fine. Not on your autos, because that's where it got real cray-cray.
Yeah.
You know, here's my, 30 shots, wounding on 2s at AP1 for tactical. Now imagine that you're doing the tactical whenever you want.
Yep.
And then you just kind of go, okay.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Now, there is a way to give them special issue ammunition. It's 2 CP, and it makes your weapon heavy 1. So you know what, you can do it on your aggressors, but they're going to be heavy 1 rather than assault 3. And that's where the issue is going to come in, whereas if they just went a blanket special issue ammunition, aggressors, inceptors, auto bolt rifles, anything that's throwing out mass shots becomes crazy. Can you imagine Outriders with it?
Yeah,
Ooh.
no.
They're
No, it's
already
too much.
really good in Deathwatch because of various reasons, mainly because you can run them in units of 5 and combat squad them and give them obsec and all that sort of funky stuff. Like,
which is cool.
It's very cool. We know, and that is a good thing that's not been mentioned, but it's objectively a good thing.
Yeah.
If you're a Deathwatch player. But now imagine giving them the special issue ammunition on top of that. It gets a little bit. It would get a bit much. It also means that your veterans have a place.
Yeah. The veterans are great.
The veterans are still really good, but
And it makes them feel like veterans.
Yes. But it does mean that you've got to start snipping off your storm bolters if you want to make use of it.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're also not paying the points for it anymore. I don't believe like that. So a veteran's 20 points a model. So they're 2 points more than a normal tactical marine.
Yeah.
But for that, they get an extra attack
Great.
for 2 points. So you might argue, but then why would I bother taking them when I could take intercessors? The intercessors have that extra attack, and they're the same points, and they've got the extra range, and they've got the extra AP on their basic gun. And you go, yes, you absolutely can. But your veteran squad is where you've got that real customizability, the flexibility, and if you don't change out your weapon, you've got your Deathwatch bolt gun anyway.
Yeah.
And a chainsword for free.
Hey!
So you go, actually, I'm now an intercessor, and if I want to be basically an intercessor, I go Kraken rounds.
Yeah.
But I've got the flexibility to use different ammo, and I've got an extra attack at AP1, so I'm actually better than an intercessor at that stage. So it's almost like your Primaris, and that is kind of where it gets a bit bad, is unless you're going to run the kill teams with the Primaris, you are better off with veterans.
Yeah.
Because they are capable of doing everything that the intercessors can do with the added flexibility and being better in combat, ever so slightly. So for a flexible army, your troops are a bit homogenized.
They get quite...
Yeah. Again, unless you want to go into your kill teams. So you've got your Primaris kill teams. Let's talk about them. They're really cool. We've mentioned some of the really cool stuff they can do. But you're not getting your special issue ammunition, so you're kind of losing essentially an army rule.
Yep.
Essentially, but not really, because it's more of a weapon rule.
Yep.
So it's not like you're paying...
it's no longer an army rule.
It's no longer an army rule. And so again, you kind of go, maybe it would have been fine for them to pay extra points to give them special issue ammunition, but the balancing act of that becomes tricky, and then what do you say that for? And, is it 2 points for a bolt rifle, 3 points for an auto bolt rifle, 2 points for a stalker bolt rifle? Is it 5 points for each auto storm gauntlet, 5 points for each heavy? You see how messy it would get very, very quickly, and then you've got a cross-reference between all these different pages.
Yeah.
So for simplicity's sake, it's been done, but the kill teams themselves, they're now much more limited.
Yeah.
Because it's based on your armor. So it's either your basic Primaris armor, your Mark 10, your Mark 10 Gravis, or your Phobos.
Yeah.
There's no mix and match anymore. So let's take Beard's army, for example.
It's all designed to be...
The kill teams, the Primaris kill teams all mixed together. He's got Inceptors in there, Aggressors in there, with some Intercessors and some Hellblasters. Well, he can have the Hellblasters and the Intercessors, and then his assault in his aggressors and the Inceptors can split off to join another unit, but they have to have a minimum of 5 of the heavy intercessors in there, which Beard doesn't have yet. So now he's got an entire unit that he can't use. He has to use them as separate units, which is fine because you can do that.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel as interesting as it was.
No, I agree. They kind of lost, not entirely, but they kind of lost that. They feel slightly less specialist.
Which is weird, because for a flexible army where we've just gone on about how flexible and specialised they are,
they feel slightly less.
Yeah,
like, it was
which
like
is
you
a weird
were taking
one.
these like teams of, you know, Marines who've left their chapters, and you know they're trying to kind of redeem. That's the story, isn't it? They're trying to like redeem themselves.
I think some of them are. That's more the Black Shields. I think generally with the Deathwatch, it's because they feel the duty to just go, I've seen what lies on the edge of the galaxy. I've seen the alien threat, and the only real way of dealing with it is. And it's actually, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not actually all that au fait with the Deathwatch lore, but I believe it's considered quite an honour to join the Deathwatch.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like, it's not, but you can join the Deathwatch because of some big shame that you've done, and then you become a Black Shield, which the rumour is some of them are that old that they were fighting in the heresy.
Oof.
So goes the rumours. Or, you know, they're loyalists like Alpha Legions, or maybe they're even just Alpha Legionnaires infiltrated because Alpha Legion are badass.
Yes!
So, you know, I mean, you know, so you've got this really cool, you know, because the whole point of the kill team is they can deal with anything that comes their way.
Yeah.
Yet what it feels like they've done is they've gone, right, well, this would deal with that, and this would deal with that, and this would deal with that. But unfortunately, your armors don't match anymore, so you can't do it. It just feels a little bit arbitrary.
Yeah, a little bit streamlined
Especially
for
the
sake.
Primaris.
Yeah, and streamlined for the sake of it a little bit.
I mean, I kind of get it, because there's so many more Primaris units that you benefit from now, that it would get, oh yeah, Primaris kill team is made up of any one of the 12 different types of Primaris. You'd be like, how do you balance the possible combinations going on in that?
No,
so it is streamlined for the sake of it, but there is a reason in addition, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's kind of bad in that the shake-up is a bit extreme, especially because it's all revolving, well, not all of it, but a lot of it revolves around new units a lot of people just don't have yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I can't use my army until you decide to release these models. So hurry up.
Yes.
You know, and that's a problem.
It's a problem.
And
That's kind of it.
bad.
It's kind of bad. Like the thing is, actually, they're not really, like, they are bad, but there's, like, as we've kind of discussed in this as well, like, there's serious reasons behind why all of these choices were made. So you can't, like, we were kind of sitting here going, well, is this bad, or does it?
It is bad from,
but from a kind of just like the aspect of building an army. Really, it is bad. It is bad. It seems slightly convoluted. For an army that is super flexible and actually still plays that way mostly, they feel like they've lost a bit of their flexibility and a little bit of their flavor as well.
A little bit.
Yeah, but it's not really a bad section.
No, it's more it's more bad if you were kind of banking on that sticking around.
Yeah.
Which would be a fair assumption to make, but it's that's what I mean. It's kind of, we're kind of grasping at straws here, that because there's not, as we've said, there's not really a lot to talk about in the context of the supplement itself, and what we've mentioned that was bad in the Marine book still applies.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, that is a, I think it's just going to be an elephant in the room for a lot of Deathwatch players, so that's kind of why we've lumped it in the bad, because we imagine that you are all feeling quite bad about it, because it's a bit of a downer. It is a bit of a downer to go, here's my army, and I went, I really like Primaris, but I really love the fluff of the Deathwatch. I can marry the two up, it's going to be a really cool army, and now the book's kind of gone, yeah, you can do that, but...
Not really.
But not really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, that's the bad. We will move on to the ugly in just a sec. And now we move on to the ugly. So this army is obviously very specialized, which is what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Having said that, so fluff-wise, it's quite, I think actually, it's quite well realized, which is good. Game mechanic-wise, when you have specialized armies like this, unfortunately, to try and marry that fluff into a game can be quite difficult, and so I think they've done the best that really they could have done, in my opinion.
Given the constraints of what the fluff is.
Given constraints what the fluff is. So what do I mean by this? So we've got all these specialized stratagems. We've got, you know, the I've lost my words. The reroll ones.
Oh, so the main chapter.
Chapter tank. Thank you. Yeah, Xenos Hunters. You know, we've got all of this, but half the time, if you're not playing Xenos, you don't get to use any of them.
Yeah.
So then they just become Marines, essentially.
Yeah. With less rules.
With less rules. So it's it's ugly because that actually makes sense, right? Like it actually makes total sense. The Deathwatch, more often than not, I'm sure there are times when they've, you know, come into contact with chaos and all that sort of stuff. They just would. They are still Space Marines, but they are specifically trained, you know, and designed to do one job, and that is, you know, the Long Vigil, make sure those aliens are dealt with, you know, purge some Xenos. That's it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, half the time it just
I have no.
But that's the fluff.
Yeah.
So in the game it's weird, but then
in the fluff, it makes
perfect sense.
I have no issue with specialized armies, and I think armies should be, you know, better at X things than Y things, unless you are a complete and total jack of all trades, master of none, of which that army doesn't exist. Let's be perfectly honest, because really that's what Marines should be. They should be a jack of all, master of none. As it is, ironically, you can specialize your Marines to become master of things. So if you want to go combat, you've got various things. If you want to go shooting, you can go various things. So they've got the options to do that. But when it comes to something like this, let's take it from a Grey Knight sort of example. They're demon hunters, right?
Yeah.
They are only deployed to fight demons. That is literally their point.
Yeah.
They would never come into contact with anything outside of chaos, is their point. So imagine if their army rule was, you get +1 to cast and deny if you're fighting chaos. You'd be like, oh yeah, okay, so I don't get anything then. Yeah. You know, it'd be kind of, you'd be a bit like, oh, I get it, but it's also a bit lame. Yeah. And it's just weird. Now, rerolling ones to hit in melee against aliens is good if you're fighting said aliens and if you don't have a captain nearby. Okay, I mean, are you really running Space Marines without captain? Probably not. And that's only in melee. Now, if that was reroll ones to hit from shooting as well, it would probably be too much.
Yeah, I agree.
So you want your captain for your reroll ones because you want that reliability, and it's kind of a no-brainer choice. So is that going to come up often? Yeah, I mean, it allows your units to operate a bit more independently. Yeah. And it's the same with the second half. You get to reroll ones to wound against the battlefield role that you select. So your lieutenant isn't as required. But obviously this is only against one specific battlefield role. Yeah. You can only change it if you have a character in the army that enables you to change it, or a warlord trait which enables you to change it, and that's for one unit. And the stratagem is once per game, and you need the Watchmaster, which you may or may not take. So you're kind of like, right, okay, so where am I then with my warlord, with my army rules? Well, if I've got a lieutenant, it's meaningless. If I've got a captain, it's probably meaningless. Yeah. So it enables you to do some fun stuff like going, I'm not going to worry about the lieutenant. Like, I'm going to take a chaplain and a librarian, do some really cool stuff. Yeah. Great. But the minute you do take some of those characters, your rules mean nothing. Yeah. And it's the same with the stratagems. You know, you've got the ability to overwatch against orcs. That's awesome. It's 2 CP, and if you kill a model, or if you hit now, I don't think you even need to kill a model in the Overwatch. It's -2 to their charge, which is huge. Which is really nice, right? It's really good, but it's only against orcs. Now, if it's 2 CP and you get to Overwatch, so you're essentially getting to Overwatch twice. Yeah. And in addition, if it's against orcs, you get to do the -2. You'd be like, okay, now it's got flexible uses. If there's the one which allows them to shoot at the Eldari unit that arrives or finishes a move within 12. Yeah. And they get to shoot at it. And if it was like, cool, if that was just, now you've got Auspex scans, so they don't really need another version of it. No. So it's kind of like, okay, so what do we do with that one to make it a bit more generic? Oh, I don't really know. You know, you've got your Markerlight turn off one. Like, you could have that as, you know, pick a unit and any and make it so that any abilities that give pluses or rerolls to hit against that unit no longer apply for this battle round, and make it 2 CP, so that it's useful against everything. And you flavor it as, if you do it against Tau Markerlights,
it's better,
or something like that. But then it can get really long and complicated, which is not really what you want. So then they're kind of just in that limbo where you go, well, half of my supplement stuff is not useful in a game against half the... I mean, how many Xenos armies are there, really? You've got 3 different Eldari, you've got Orcs, Nids, Genestealer Cults, Tau, Necrons. There's 8.
Yes.
Well, there's now 10 different Space Marine supplements. So against more than half of the game, you're not doing anything, which is just... And again, I get it.
Yeah.
And to make them good against everything would defeat the point of their fluff and specializations. But it's, from a game design perspective, it's a bit ugly, because there's going to be some feel bad times where you just kind of go, okay.
Yeah, just go,
all right.
Fine.
Like,
yeah. It's true.
I don't really know.
It's true.
I don't know what you can do about that.
I don't know what the answer is. Yeah, there is. It's just... I think it's just one of those things that you kind of go, okay,
this is what I'm going to have to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you do take more sorts of units like the veteran squads, which have those
can do lots of stuff.
Anyway. And
now,
so
if special issue ammunition was against a Xenos army, you can choose one of the other. I'd be like, no, now they're terrible. But that's the thing, you've got... But again, it kind of... That goes back to a bad, where you almost want to go, right, well, because I'm so specialised in what I'm good against, I need to take the things that are good against everything, at which point you're basically just normal Marines or spamming veterans.
Yeah.
Which just kind of makes it a bit bland. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's kind of a big draw of the army, in my opinion, is these customizable units with lots of different iconography.
Yeah, it's cool.
You make customized units, you know, like you've got, you know, oh, who's the leader of this guy? It's like, oh, well, this is, you know, this guy is like, you know, Hjorm Hammerhand or something, and he's a Space Wolf veteran that joined the Space Wolves because he just really hates orcs.
Yes!
Yeah, and he's running around with a thunder hammer and stuff. And you go, that's cool. You can make little stories and stuff. But then you look over and it's like, oh, what about that? It's a Predator. Oh, okay. And that is the downside of you now having access to everything, is you needed that before, but now having it is just kind of makes you more just a Marine type.
Yeah.
Which, as we mentioned in the Space Wolf supplement, and I'm sure it will come up again in the Blood Angels and the Dark Angels when they come out, you're a supplement of Marines now. You are not your own army. That has its good and its own bad problems, thus making it kind of an ugly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know the answer to it. I think it is.
No, me either.
It is, like you say, just something that...
I think that's just kind of... that's just something you go, okay, well, I've chosen this, and this is how it is.
This is my hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, when your hand is strong...
Yeah, and that's the thing, they're not weak.
No, they're not, you know... base level, they're still good. Really good, actually. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those things you got to wear. But it is an ugly one, because you know, it doesn't make... There's a lot of times where you're just gonna be like, meh, okay, cool.
I'm glad I've got that page.
Yeah,
in my book that does nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else you want to add to ugly?
The vast majority of it just boils down to the HQ slots in the book.
Yeah.
So you've got nine data sheets in this book, 4 of which are HQs and 3 of which are special characters, which, meh. I mean, meh. You got a librarian that gets +1 to cast Smite. Okay.
That's all right.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You've got Chaplain Cassius before he went into the Tyrannic War. So you're in that really weird stage of going, they made this model of Chaplain Cassius because it was part of like the release of this special kill team Cassius, but the actual model and the current storyline for Cassius is in the modern day after the Tyrannic Wars, but this is a model of him before the Tyrannic Wars. So they've even got that little thing in there saying, like, if you're going to run this guy, we recommend you don't use Primaris. You still can, which just makes it kind of weird.
Yeah.
And from a, like, you know, if you want to take a chaplain, you'll probably pay the 10-point upgrade for Cassius to get that +1 to cast a litany.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, why bother including that caveat? You almost may as well just... I get it because he's Chaplain Cassius, but it's just a weird thing that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, I get it.
And I mean, Artemis is still Artemis. Like, he's still good.
Yeah,
he's expensive, but he's good.
Yeah.
And the Watchmaster is the Watchmaster. Like, he's a chapter master, but he's not great. Like, he's not customizable at all, and he never was.
No.
But like, his spear is D3 damage, which we all know is pretty poor.
Yeah.
+1 strength, -3, and that's it. That's all he has.
Yeah.
Like, he's got it's the Custody spear. You know, it's damage 2, rapid fire 1.
Yeah,
-1.
yeah.
At least he has special issue ammunition.
Yeah, well, that's
though.
something.
You know, which is
He
good.
remembers.
And that's actually
He was watching out for it when he was getting ready to go into battle. He was watching out for his ammunition. He was going like this.
I'm not even going to look at you.
Like this. He was looking around. He's watching out and he goes, there it is. Put that in my pocket.
But it's just kind of like, okay, I mean, he's good, and you'll probably take him because he's no more expensive than a captain with a chapter master upgrade anyway. Yep. Which you can't take as Deathwatch because you've got the Watchmaster. And he's decent enough, and you're going to want, if you want to change your battlefield roll, reroll wound bit, you have to have him because that's the only way you can use that stratagem.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, okay, fine. I guess I better take him in case I want to change it. And that's where there's another little bit of an ugly in that for an army that is supposed to be super flexible whilst also being specialized, but flexible in its way that it approaches its specialization, you can't actually change your specializations very easily.
No.
Because it's literally that once per game stratagem or a warlord trait on one unit, which admittedly is once per battle round. I don't know. Would letting them change it every battle round be too much, or letting them change it once per game for free be too much without needing to have the Watchmaster? I don't really know.
It can be very strong.
That's what I mean.
So I understand. Like, again, I kind of get it, but I also appreciate your point as well.
I mean more from like, it's sort of that disconnect from what they're meant to be in the fluff and what they are in the crunch.
Yeah.
You know, and you just kind of go, for balance reasons, I get it, but I mean, this is one of those times where you almost want to go, but you probably could have just let it slide, guys. Like, don't let the special issue ammunition slide.
No.
But you probably could have let, you know, your characters have special issue ammunition, and you probably could have let them change it once per game for free. And then if you want to change it again, you've got to have the Watchmaster and use a stratagem.
Yeah.
You know, would it have broken the game? I don't know. Maybe. Let me know. I mean, against some armies where they've only got HQs and troops, you'd be like, great. But again, if you've got an army that's only HQs and troops, you're probably just going to go, yeah, I'll just do it on troops.
Yeah.
Against a balanced army, you're going to be rerolling 1 to wound against 1 out of 5 or 6 of their sort of unit types, which is still good. Is it as good as some of the other chapter tactics like fall back and shoot with a penalty, or advance and charge and fall back and charge, or heroic intervention across the army? I don't know if it's as strong. Would letting it be on 2 units be too strong? I don't know.
Tough.
I don't know. I don't think so. But
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, the overall supplement is still great.
Yeah.
It's still good because it builds upon an already good book with more fluff and flavor. Outside of the, ignore what we've just sort of spoken about. They're still, those are still quite minor issues, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think really, overall, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. The fact that for me, what does it is, as we've said, the mission tactics, and the fact you guys have so much more access now to all of the different units, and your key units like the veterans and stuff like that
still great.
are still really good. So that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. I think it's good, and you should too. Ooh. Look, do you have anything else to add to the Deathwatch?
No, I think I've spoken enough now. These guys are probably sick of me.
Well, I'm not, Chef.
That is surprising.
Yes. I have the patience of a saint. So look, that's it. We are done. If you haven't watched the Space Wolves.
Well, if you haven't watched the Space Marines, you probably should have done that first.
Yeah, we've done that too. But go out and check out the Space Wolves as well. We will have some games with both of these supplements coming out for you very, very soon. But until then, this has been The Bone and you, the Chef, and we shall see you all very soon. Goodbye for now.
Ta-ta.
Happy Halloween. Woo! Scary ghosts, they're everywhere. Woo! Woo! Oh boy. The ghost.
Oh dear, I'm done.
You get your candy. You want some candy?
No,
Chef.
I'm done.
Woo! You want a candy, Chef? Chef, I'll take you to the candy shop.